Now, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has released a statement as the conflict between Israel and Iran intensifies. He says the Iranian nation will stand firm against an imposed war, just as it will stand firm against an imposed peace. And this nation will not surrender to anyone in the face of imposition. The Americans should know that any U.S. military intervention will undoubtedly cause irreparable damage. His comments follow another night of attacks from both sides as the conflict between Israel and Iran threatens to escalate even further. Let's bring in now Tohid. Asadi is in the Iranian capital, Tehran, for us. So, Tohid, listening to the statements by Iran's supreme leader, does it mean that Trump's demands are deal breakers rather than deal makers from Iran's perspective?
Yes, indeed. Exactly as you said. It seems that Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is not into such proposals, as we heard from him, that Iran is not going to, an Iranian nation, quote unquote, is not going to accept imposed peace, by which he means that in case the Israelis and the Americans try to impose some preconditions for possible negotiations on peace, Iran is not going to accept. Iran is going to continue. We at least heard three important messages from Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei directed towards Americans in his very recent speech. First, he said that the incident took place. The attack, the Israeli strikes, took place while Iranian diplomats were engaged in a trajectory of indirect talks with the United States, and these strikes happens while Iran didn't send out any signal of harsh or military activity while it was engaged in diplomatic negotiations. Also, he said that Iran is not going to surrender. He said that Americans should know about it, and that in case there is going to be a military intervention by the United States in this already complicated, intricate scenario, there is a possibility of further escalations, running the risk of, as we speak to different political analysts, running the risk of dragging the entire region on the verge of a broad regional war. Also, he talked about the United States, and on another perspective, saying that the fact that the United States, quote unquote, the American friends of the Israelis are getting engaged, or are planning at least to get engaged, is indicative of the weakness of the Israeli side, while the retaliatory actions of the Iranian side continues. The reality on the ground, based on what we see here in the capital, is that Israeli strikes still continue.
All right, Tohid, stay with us, because what we want to do is just have a listen into some of the comments which Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei made. It came, of course, in a pre-recorded televised message from an undisclosed location. He was defiant and said Iran will never surrender.
The President of the United States, in unacceptable remarks, explicitly calls on the Iranian nation to surrender. But we say to him, first, make threats to those who are afraid of them. Threats have never influenced the behaviour or thinking of the Iranian people. Second, telling the Iranian nation to surrender is not a rational statement. Wise individuals who are familiar with the Iranian people and their history would never utter such words, because the Iranian nation is not one that surrenders and will never submit to anyone's aggression.
Let's go back to Tohid Asadi. He's in the Iranian capital, Tehran, for us. And Tohid, in the light of the rising rhetoric between the two sides, we've seen the U.S. move more assets to the region. Are we aware, are we seeing the Iranians make any moves to prepare for a possible U.S. military strike at this point?
Yes, indeed, Sami. We have been hearing statements on that. First, Iranians are saying, the president and other Iranian officials are saying that Tehran is not interested at all in getting engaged and further escalate the situation, as the momentum thrives on escalations with respect of the recent developments. There is this possibility of getting dragged into this sort of further complicated scenario. We talked to one security source in this regard. He says that Iran has been prepared to get engaged in a war with the United States, and it has been prepared it for over a decade. And also the rhetoric that we speak, we listen to and we hear here in Tehran is that Iran is saying it has got also as a part of scenarios on the table the possibility of the U.S. intervention, but still they are saying, and that's what we heard basically from the Supreme Leader, that in case such an intervention happens, though there is preparedness, this is what we hear from the Iranian officials, though there is preparedness for getting into such kind of scenarios with the United States intervention, further escalating the situation, that runs the risk of getting the war into a really broad context in the region. And Iranians in this regard are saying that if a third country is going to use the land of any of these neighboring countries to attack Iranian territories, that's going to be a further possibility for escalating into a regional level with respect to the recent confrontation that we see.
All right, thanks so much, Tohid Asadi there in Tehran.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.